Hey everybody, I'm gonna start by pressing record. That's a really good way to start things. All right, yo, yo, yo. Okay, we gotta start with some serious shit first. So, real quick, I'm gonna refer to this episode throughout the lifetime of the pod. So, listen up. I am not a professional or an expert, as you may have heard if you listen to the ad. I talk about these topics because I want to hashtag normalize it and talk about this kind of stuff not because I know all about it, it's because I genuinely like and enjoy having these conversations. So I'm really just having a good time. I don't urge you to agree with me. Sometimes I'll share like factual information, and I've learned about some of my topics. Sometimes they won't be factual. It'll just be like what I do or what I believe, or sometimes I just like having these conversations about ideas or beliefs that I want to get out. I love learning and I love connecting, and if you want to give me corrections or if you want to share information or resources, I'm going to be like, hell yeah, I love you. Thank you. Even if you're like coming at me sideways, like just do it. And I'll still be like, I love you. Thank you. Awesome. I love learning. But yeah, I'm going to always give shout outs to the professionals that actually do the work because they deserve it. I just like to talk about this shit. And the other thing I want to mention in this, like, pre-disclaimer, I guess, is that I'm not going to ask you for shit. If, like, this doesn't get any listens, that's fine. I want it out there. I just want it out there. I just want to put this out. Because, like, in the future, there might be, like, some queer kid looking up this kind of content, looking at this representation, because their parents or public school, like, hasn't given them much information like this. And they can make a Google search and then here it is. So that's really kind of what it's all about. I don't want donations. I don't want, like, any, like, Kickstarter or anything like that. I don't want clout. I'm just doing this because I have like too much to say about menstruation. So I'm making space for me to talk about this so I don't just constantly badger my friends about it. I'm making space for it for people who want to hear about it when they want to. And I have more to say about my personal journey and why I'm making this podcast, but we'll unpack that another time. I just wanted to start off the first few episodes by saying this little disclaimer. That is all. And I hope you enjoy. So hold on. Let's stop here. We're gonna take a oh yeah, I need to start recording again. Save. Let's just start by taking like a deep breath. Let's do my helicopter. Okay. Deep breaths make the world go round. I'm Ashley. I go by Ash. Doesn't really matter, but I go by Ash. That's how people know me. I use they, them pronouns, please and thank you. I'm an Ecuadorian American, biracial, bilingual, gay. I am gender non-conforming and non-binary. I am on my 31st day of my cycle. I feel like my cycle has gotten a little bit extended because maybe because of a lot of exercise this week and yeah, I don't know. What I personally, not factual, personally think it's because of the new moon coming at a different time. I like to think that like my cycle gets very in sync with the moon, and when I get out of sync with the moon, it will seem like I'm like have a too long luteal phase, but really it's like my cycle trying to get back in sync with the moon. So I think I'm gonna have my period today because it's the new moon. But I feel right now I feel pretty good because I got that nice testosterone coming in. So I'm feeling a little bit more energized than I have been the last week during my luteal cycle. I've been feeling like super tired and not really able to, like, do this thing where I'm formulating words right when I need to, and not being able to handle like a lot of stimuli at the same time. I don't want to do too much at the same time, so that's kind of what's been going on during this part of my cycle. So the first topic of the day, we're gonna I don't have like a topic of the day sound, but that was that was me ending that segment of my intro. Listen, I I have a topic of the day. It is the luteal phase, which is the phase that I'm in, because I'm going to show you what I'm like during the phase that I'm in, while also talking about the phase. So, congruency, themes, like Sesame Street, but about bleeding. All right, if you haven't, go check out my my guide, my resource. It just has the information I'm about to spit on there. But anyways, so let's talk about the luteal phase. This phase, the energetics of this phase can be characterized by fall and the waning moon if your cycle is in sync with the moons. If you have a reason, or oh my god, if you have like some reason that you don't bleed, like if you're taking hormones or you're taking birth control or another reason, you can still have a luteal phase. It's the energetics that are going on during this time. So a lot of times, most healthy bodies will have weight gain during this time, and that's pretty across the board, and it's usually normal and temporary. On top of that, you need to be eating 50 to 500 more calories per day when you're in this phase. And like that can make us feel kind of ick. Like we're already craving food because of that reason, and then our body's just naturally bloating and all this stuff. So it doesn't make you feel very good, but it's very temporary. Like bloating and stuff is sometimes caused by like not having enough magnesium, and that also causes cravings. So I've been taking like magnesium supplements, and that's been helping me. But overall, I just try to like love my body in this weird time, because like I know it's temporary, but in case you're wondering, like this is my body during the luteal phase. I'm pretty bloated. I don't feel like as fit as I want to. My face doesn't feel as symmetrical or tight as it usually does, like in my other phases. Like sometimes I'll feel like I have more of a double chin than I usually do, but it's temporary, and I know that, and it usually kind of goes away like around like the second half of my bleeding cycle. So the superpowers that you get in this time, and shout out to Coach Cora, Unleash Your Superpowers on TikTok and Patreon for this information. The superpowers that you can get during the luteal phase are things like stamina, so doing something for long periods of time. You become more detail-oriented in this time. I notice like this is kind of a double-edged sword for me, because I also have mental illness. So if you have mental illness, this detail orientation can kind of like mess with you a little bit. You'll overanalyze your relationships. You'll overanalyze like things that you've said, or like things that are happening right now. Like, and really what it is like you're like vulnerable. Your body is in a vulnerable state, and you're going to be like kind of like looking out, So it's good and bad. It's a good time to like edit things, and which is gonna be great when I have to edit this, because there's gonna be so much editing. Oh my god! But whatever. So yeah, detail oriented for a lot of different reasons. It could be good and bad. But scanning documents, editing things, reviewing, if reviewing and going over, so like if you're kind of in a manager position and you need to do like employee reviews, this would probably be a good time to do it. But you might also want to be aware that you might be chewing someone out more than you normally would. So I don't know, there's kind of like, you gotta really know yourself and know, okay, is this me being like over analytic, or is this a really valid point? But if you want to use that power to your advantage, it's a good time to like uh, do those types of things with mindfulness, making sure you're not like overdoing it. But it's also a really good time if you're like looking into something you haven't been super aware of before. I know for me, I will like really, really overanalyze like my romantic relationships, and I'm just like thinking, going through my head, like of all of the red flags or green flags, or just like how it's going, and it's sometimes not as helpful as I want it to be, but sometimes in a way, now looking back as a single person, I'm like, holy shit, like I kind of would downplay it and just be like, oh, I'm in my luteal phase, like it'll go away, like I don't need to be this, I don't need to be analyzing this, it's just my luteal phase, it'll go away when I start bleeding. And like now looking back, I'm like, no, I was right to like analyze it that way and say that was like red flags and like all of this stuff, and like having that heightened awareness, like I should have fucking listened to myself then. But whatever. So the other superpowers, moving on. You get happy chemicals when you are checking off boxes on your to-do list, which is super nice. But for me, like when I check off boxes, I'm like, yes, thank God. But also for me, I end up like going on side quests so much because of the detail-oriented stuff. And then also finding more joy, quote unquote. I won't say joy because it's not really like, oh, I'm psyched to do laundry today. But like you get the dopamine release when you do things like laundry or things that you've been putting off. Like most people put off laundry or washing the dishes or like cleaning up your space, doing the paperwork, doing the appointments, whatever it is for you. Let's talk about cervix position. Your cervix is this little gushy gush thing right there. That's not the legal that's not the legal term for it, but it's this cool part that kind of is the cervix is everything. The cervix is a magical place where it will either reject sperm depending on what you got going on there. For example, I have a copper IUD that's in my cervix right now, and so therefore my cervix is like deadly. It like my cervix has like a sniper, and it's like shooting down sperms. But for some other people, your cervix is like sucking in all the sperm that it possibly can. Anyway, so your cervix position during this phase is that it's hanging lower in the uterus. It's firm like a nose. I don't know. Some people say, I've never felt it like that, but some people say it feels like a nose. And it's more closed. So the opening, there's like a little opening like this, I guess, and then it's like more closed. I've definitely felt it during sex, but most people say they don't feel it, but I think I definitely do. I think because of when I had the IUD, it hurt really bad, and I think I just have that sensitivity to it. But yeah, that's where your cervix is. The brain function during this time is wild. Like, you're getting this rise of progesterone, which affects the amygdala, which is responsible, that's the part in your brain that's responsible for fight or flight, and like You can tell I signaled in my brain. I was like, you should do the movements. I don't really care. I'm trying to like ease myself into this podcast, and I'm like in my luteal phase that I want to like be like so perfect, but at the same time I'm also that in that point in my luteal phase where I'm very fatigued and grasping at words. So I'm like, it's gonna be what it is. Your brain health. Getting progesterone, it affects the amygdala, which is part of the fight or flight part of your brain. So that's kind of why you have this heightened state of awareness, but it can make you also pretty stressed, depressed. In my case, with mental illness, I become more symptomatic. So I have, like, full disclosure, MDD and OCD and oh my god. I have PTSD. I was about to say PTDD, and I was like, what is that? I think I just made that up. And so it will make things just like way more dramatic than it seems, and suddenly something that I wanted to do for work just seems like way harder than it usually would. But I'm here for it. What I usually do during this phase for that reason is I kind of plan, because I have kind of like a monthly calendar all based around my cycle. And what I do is reduce a bunch of stuff that I need to do. So like I like go to weekly meetings, but I will make sure like I have nothing planned for my luteal phase. Like that's extra. Like I try to make it as simple for myself as possible, that there's hardly any extracurriculars for me to think about. And then I just try to like give myself enough space, so like working less, taking more breaks, and planning time to just like sit and chill, like activate the vagus nerve and like all of this stuff, rather than kind of like, let's go dancing, let's go like make plans with a friend, or let's go to my meetings, or let's, take on this big project, or let's start my podcast now, and that's what I do to balance that. A lot of times I was seriously like so lost before, where I was like, this is the worst, this is a curse, and I think a lot of people are at that part in their life where they're like, the luteal phase is a curse. But really, what's the real curse is life trying to, the expectation that society puts on life to be a routine that is daily and unwavering. People don't take into consideration that other folks are on a different cycle we can't keep going and going and going like every single day. Like, that's not how it works. If we just went with our flow rather than against it, and trying to achieve the same amount of effectiveness during our ovulation phase, it just won't work. We'll be so much more productive. And it's true, like I've been doing this for a while, and doing it this way has helped me like achieve more optimal health benefits, just by like taking this like week chunk of time and chilling the fuck out. And it seems like really counterintuitive, but it's actually like really helpful, because then I have that rest and rejuvenation for the rest of my phases to like go, and then I go super hard. Because if I don't, and I just keep going through this phase, I'm never gonna get that. My stress will be so high that I'm not gonna get the same rewards in my ovulation phase. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the ovulation point, in the ovulation episode, because that's a really important point, is that like we can get so stressed out that we irregulate our bodies, and then we don't get to reap the benefits of the different phases. So going this way, taking a break during my luteal phase has actually been more productive, even though it seems like I'm doing less. But, you know, using my, like, detail orientation to, you know, do certain things and do things at home where I'm like, you know, I wouldn't feel like doing otherwise. Let's go on to another part of this phase. Let's talk about these supportive foods. Complex carbs, proteins, potatoes, grains, carrots, bananas, squash. Those are all really yummy, delicious, amazing things that you should do for yourself. Micronutrients, usually during this phase, I like doing that a lot because I know I need to be eating way more, and so I just try to get a lot of micronutrients, but also just generally eating more throughout the day in like little snacks and stuff. Supportive exercises for this phase are things that like require stamina, drills, mobility, flexibility, but for me, I really kind of just exercise until I don't feel like it anymore. Because there's kind of like a first half of luteal phase, second half of luteal phase. And like I'll keep exercising like I'm in my ovulation phase until I notice I start feeling fatigued. And then it's just I just stretch. I stretch and take walks usually. But a lot of people will say they have a little bit of stamina. So like doing things like going on a run, or like a jog, you know, things like that will be helpful. Spotting sometimes during this phase can indicate sometimes. So this is like one of the most common indications. It can indicate low progesterone in the system, and so then you'll be like, so this is known as like the luteal phase defect, and like some of the lining will like come out early. There's a lot of other reasons though why you might be bleeding in this phase, so it's really important to like check it out if you feel like something's not right. But I'm always kind of a believer, like, you feel in your body if you think it's not right. You know, you will intuitively know the most, unless you're feeling like you're not connected with your body, which is really common. A lot of people aren't connected with their body and won't be able to like intuitively know if something's wrong. And maybe they don't want to know because it makes them feel like too perceived, which I totally get. Sometimes I don't want to perceive my body, but yeah. But then otherwise go to a medical professional, because there's a lot of reasons why you could be spotting during this time. The most common is the low progesterone, but other things could be like implantation, which is like egg sticks onto the, I don't know what this is supposed to symbolize. Implantation. Pregnancy is what I'm trying to say. Ectopic pregnancy, perimenopause, endometriosis, polyps. But again, these are the more scary things why you could be spotting. Again, trust your body first. And a lot of times it could just be like a hormone imbalance or your period's coming early, because like that, like lining is starting to shed. Oh, I forgot to talk about vaginal discharge. Vaginal discharge is my favorite. It's my favorite thing. That's your vaginal discharge. I love vaginal discharge. Let me tell you why. Vaginal discharge during this phase is all over the place. You might be really hip to the like brown stuff, but hold on, wait. I wrote this down in here. I know I did. Yeah. Okay. There's like a special word for your luteal phase vaginal discharge. And I love when there's a special word for it. They call it, oh, but you know, the upsetting thing that I don't know how to pronounce this word. It's called a leukorrhea. It Leukkorrhea, leukorrhea, or maybe it's leukorrhea, I don't know. That's what the luteal phase vaginal discharge is. Okay, it's sticky, it's tacky, it's sometimes white, but sometimes yellowish, and sometimes dry. But like, dude, like sometimes it's fucking brown. Probably because of the lining. Yeah, that's the word I'm trying to say. The lining of the shit might be coming out. But yeah. Yeah, so leukorrhea, that's what your vaginal discharge is like. Also, okay, I wanted to talk about masturbation, and I'm gonna kind of, what I'm really talking about, because I put this on the resource guide. It says, you know, the little bullet point will be about masturbation. Really what I'm talking about is sexual arousal, not necessarily masturbation, but I liked the word masturbation because masturbation. But it's really about like sexual arousal. So basically, like, there isn't a biological reason for any arousal to happen during your luteal phase, okay? In the other phases, there's like lots of different reasons why sexual arousal will happen. In the luteal phase, there isn't really, because you have progesterone going up. That's not sexy. It's not a sexy hormone. It's like a nausea, stress hormone. Your estrogen's going down. Your testosterone is kind of the main chemical, the main hormone going on right now because your estrogen is low. So it's not that your testosterone goes up, it's just that since your estrogen's going low, the testosterone's like, yo, I'm here. You could like notice it more. But yeah, so there's not like really like a reason why you should be aroused at this time. However, because of the benefits of masturbation, like stress release and lubrication, because some people will experience dryness during this time, it can be really helpful to try to get yourself in the mood, because it will decrease that amygdala going off in your brain. Kind of just like, hey, chill the fuck out. Brings you into your body, can make you feel better about the wake-in and shit going on. So, you know, it's good to try to masturbate during this time. There's no physical reason. There's no, like, hormonal reason why you should be aroused in this phase. But it will help. So go jerk off, okay? Go jerk off. Do it. I said so. Go jerk off in this phase. All right? We're going to go to our next segment. Our next segment in this crazy thing I'm calling a podcast. I also wanted to talk about why I'm doing this alone. I wanted to set the tone. The tone right now is that I'm insane in my luteal phase. So, no, but seriously, I wanted to set the tone. I wanted to talk about, like, the first 4 topics on my own. That way we can get into, like, cooler, funner topics with the guests that I'm going to invite on the show. Because, man, I am going to have so many topics. So many topics. You're gonna shart yourself. It's gonna be great. But so the first 4 episodes are just gonna be me, your lovely they them host. And yeah. I want it so my brain did like the whole dissociation thing just now, but it's fine. We're good. We're here. Continuing on that thought of the 4 episodes, 4 foundational episodes, the number 4 is magical because of the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, also related to the 4 seasons. We're starting in fall, and also related to the 4 phases of the moon cycle. 13, which is the amount of times a person will menstruate in a year. In numerology, if y'all are into numerology, like 1 + 3 = 4, and it's a very feminine number. I don't like that word necessarily, but it is a divine feminine number because of the period thing. I'm just going to call it like, it's a menstrual number. Yeah, that's like a way better way to put it. It's not that I don't like femininity. I do like femininity. But I want to be in a place where I can feel affirmed in my cycle as much as possible. Because I love my cycle and I love me. And I'm kind of a little queer. But that's why I say that. So 4 seasons, 4 phases, 4 noble truths, 4 agreements, 4 directions, and yeah, that's a little bit of crazy talk about the number 4. But the point is, it's one of my favorite numbers. It's actually my life path number. You should go check out your life path number and tell me what it is. And I just think it's so beautiful that I'm so connected to my menstrual cycle, and it has this association for me that's connected with the seasons and the moon, and how in love I am with the cycle. So I think it's really special. I wanted to go to the next segment, but I actually wanted to say one more thing about the luteal phase. The thing about the luteal phase, for me, I'm just going to share a little bit. I've been kind of sharing a little bit about me during this phase. I'm going to share a little bit more with you. The week before I have my period, I use clary sage, and clary sage is a hormone balancing essential oil. Well, you could get it in essential oil. I use it in essential oil phase. And I put it on my feet before bed. It doesn't smell great. And then I'll put it on my abdomen. And then, especially when I'm getting like back cramps, I put it in like a little roller bottle like this. This has a sticker on it, but it's not whatever the sticker was from. I put it in this roller bottle with some peppermint and lavender oil. And like I'll roll this like all on my abdomen, all on my back and stuff. And then, yeah, just putting like the clary sage on my feet at night because it helps with my moods and also helps with the cramps too. The other thing I was going to say was when I was in my relationships, like in the past, I would always kind of like get a little bit freaked out because when I was in my luteal phase, I would kind of like be like, I don't think I like this person that much. And that would happen every relationship that I was in, every menstruation cycle, every luteal cycle. I would be like, I don't think I like that person that much. And it kind of started freaking me out, but then when I'd get my period, I'd be all over them again. And I started like realizing that and was just like, yeah, I don't like them that much, but it's my luteal phase. It only lasts a week, and then I'm back to liking them again. And so I would totally dismiss it, right? And then I realized, like, I feel like that's a little bit significant because I am, like, evaluating the relationship in this phase, and we need to talk about it. So I started, like, bringing stuff up, and as I was listening to other period podcasters, some of the women that I was listening to say that they want their, so okay, a lot of period podcasts, if you don't know, most period podcasters, I mean, shout out to the period, I love period podcasters. They are the most badass feminine women, like, who are doing awesome feminist work and saying, like, fuck the patriarchy, but they are feminine women. They are usually hetero. And I love them, and I have their resources. I have links to their podcasts in my resource guide, but they are very hetero, and that's not me, and that's one of the reasons I'm making this podcast. So I was listening to one of their podcasts, and they were saying, like, and their guest was even saying, like, they feel so desired, or they feel like they want their partner. They need more cuddles. They need more attention during that phase. And I thought that was really weird because that wasn't my experience at all. And I was like, I don't know. What if it's A, like, I thought of 3 possibilities. A, those people were just not for me. Like, maybe I was realizing, like, the right person, maybe I won't have that feeling towards them. But then I also thought, B, I could also just really be gay. Because most of the times when I was feeling that was with men. And I could just actually really be gay and not feeling that at all. Or it could just really be such a luteal experience, and maybe I'm just going to experience that with everybody I meet. I don't know. I'm still going to figure that out. But if you are listening and you have an experience that you want to share, I really would love to hear about it. So write in. Tell me, when you are in your luteal phase, do you crave affection from your partner, or do you want to distance yourself? Do you overanalyze your relationship? Let me know. And of course, you can request. I can read it out on the podcast and share your perspective, or I can just keep it in private. Let me know. Because I personally would just love to hear what you have to say about that. All right, without further ado, we're going to go to our next segment. Our next segment is my period story, my blood stain that I'm going to share with you. I wanted to share, like, a first fun story. So I'm not going to share the story of my first ever period because that story is a little bit sad. I wanted to share a funny story that you could kind of be like, wow, that was weird. And it tells you a lot about me. So about 4-5 years ago, I finished college, and I was living with my parents, but most of my friends were still in school, and I wanted to go visit them again because I was about to move across the country for an internship that I got. So I wanted to go visit them again. Up until then, I drove, but I never had a car. So I had the ability to drive, never got a car, walked everywhere. I took a train to go see my friends. It was amazing. I went to a party school, and I saw my friends. It was awesome. Had such a good time. The night before I left, we had like a big blowout with just me and 2 of my really close friends. And we did a lot of drinking, smoking weed, drugs. Like, I was really into it. If you know me now, you know that I am sober of 2 years and 9 months. Yay me! But back then, I was in it, and I was partying. And it was a good time. Like, that time was a positive time. It wasn't like I'm sad, I'm gonna, like, get fucked up. At that time, I was partying. I was like, let's rage all night. So, all night, I had been day drinking, and I was smoking weed with my friend. We were hippie flipping all night, so we did not sleep a wink. If you don't know what hippie flipping is, good for you. Don't ever, or do. I don't know. It's a drug thing. Don't worry about it. I was hippie flipping, um, and I did not sleep a freaking wink. I went to my train in the morning and went back, and my dad was gonna pick me up from my train station to get me back home. And I was so hungover from the Molly, from the alcohol, from staying up all night. Now oh my God, I'm messed up if I stay up all night. Like, I cannot stay up all night anymore. So I was just, my eyes were like, so, like the whites of my eyes were like practically yellow and just like cracked because I was like so tired. And I was in my luteal phase too. I was so exhausted. So I got picked up by my dad. I was just like, hey dad, had a good time. It was cool. And he's like, okay, great. Well, we're gonna go somewhere. I was like, okay, where are we gonna go? This motherfucker. Love him. This was so beautiful, but I was such a dirtbag that I made it so not beautiful. He drove me to a car dealership, and he got me a car. And it was like, because I just finished college and I was gonna go across the country, and I needed to get a car. Like, we didn't even talk about it before. He just sprung it on me. I was just gonna try to get by walking and stuff. But yeah. So we were at the dealership, and it's summertime. It is hot as hell. Like, I have like no water in my body. I was just like so drained, and I'm like, thank you. Oh my God, thank you so much. I feel like I was like SpongeBob in that episode where he needs water, and I was like, thank you. Like, just trying to be so grateful, but like also like dying inside because I need water desperately, and like I need to go to sleep desperately. We stay there, we sign the forms. I'm just like hot as fuck because we're like standing outside for a while. And he's like, okay, you're gonna drive it. And we were pretty far away from my house, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm about to drive right now. Like, I feel a little too out of it. Like, I had like the morning glow of the shrooms and the MDMA. So like, I'm like, okay, you got it. And he's like, okay, I'll lead. I'll go in front of you, and you just follow me. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. He's following. I'm right behind him. I'm like so tense because I'm trying so hard to focus and not fuck up, because I didn't want my dad to know that I had been so fucked up the night before. And I was just like, okay, I'm going, like, my head was like right next to the steering wheel, and I'm just like following him. I'm like, in my head, I'm so like that luteal phase, like detail orientation. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be too close to him, but I don't want to be too far from him either. And I got to make sure like I'm following him like the right distance and like doing all the right things. And he takes me to my cousin's house, and I'm like, what are we doing at my cousin's house? All while this is happening, the whole drive, it was like a 30-minute drive. I felt blood. Well, I felt something going on. I felt it going through my pants, and I was just like so focused on my driving. I didn't even care, because I mean, there's nothing I could do. I needed to be up here. My attention was up here and not down there at all. I was bleeding through my pants onto my new car, and we got to my cousin's house, and like parked the car, and I was just like, oh shit, like I had like a huge blood stain on my, I was wearing like some yoga pants or something, and then I had like a big stain on my brand new car, and I was just like, okay, I need to get a different outfit on right now. So I grabbed, thank God, like I had just spent the night in that other town, so I had extra clothes, and I was like, hey, I just need to get changed really quick. Can I use your bathroom? And I changed, I put on a dress. My cousins went out to see my car. Luckily the seats were black, so you couldn't really tell. You might have thought it was a sweat stain, and I'm pretty sure they knew because I had to change that something was going on. Like either that I was uncomfortable, or because like it was a pretty drastic, like, hey, I'm here and I'm gonna change. And yeah, they came out to see the car. I tried to like, have them not sit in the car. We went back home, and I was just like, yeah, we got the new car, yeah, just don't worry. I go out into my room, I grab some wipes, I go back outside, and I start wiping the car, right? To clean up the blood stain. And my dad comes back because he's wondering what I'm doing in the car, and he sees me wipe the blood. And I think at that point he realized, just because of I needed to change, and I came back to the car and was wiping it and stuff, and the wipes had blood on them. I think it was clear what happened, and he was just kind of like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool. And he was so sweet about it, just like kind of moved on and pretended like he didn't notice. And my car was red too. I felt like, at that time, and now, I do feel like I was christening the car a little bit, like making my mark. And I was like, it's kind of symbolic that I bled in my first car. But I also thought that I was a hot fucking mess. So I was super hungover, and I just bled in the car. And I was just a hot mess. But that is the story of my first car, and right after I got it, I bled in it. And yeah, that is that segment. So every week, like every episode, I'm gonna share. I have so many freaking stories, like some funny, some bad, some sad. But I wanted to share a kind of funny, fun one for you today. But yeah, we're gonna go on to another segment. But before that, we're gonna take a little bit of a deep breath again. This next segment is called Rate That Period Product. And we're going to rate so many different period products and so many different, from all across the decades, all different brands, all over the place. But today I figured we'd start with something that's like really common, tampax. Let's talk about tampax. So Tampax, if you don't know, is a tampon company. They're really the most common company. I don't know too much about them. I would give this product a 5 out of 10. So the reason I'd give it like a 5 out of 10, let's talk about the pros. The application is smooth. You get that little applicator, it's made from plastic, and it goes in there really nice and smooth. That's really the only good thing about it. I guess it's nice and smooth, it's small, but everything else about it, sorry Tampax, it's shit, let me tell you. So the cons, I don't like the shape when it gets absorbent. If you ever put the Tampax into some water, it turns into like this square sponge that reminds me of SpongeBob. And I don't like that. I don't like that feeling of pulling it out, and it's in that shape. I feel like it's not as protective as, shit, what's that other one? I don't even remember. Oh well. There's other kinds of tampons that will be like more like a flower. Playtex, yeah. Like that is more like a flower when it opens. Tampax is more like a square when it opens, and I feel like it's not as protective, so I feel like it leaks a little bit, and I just don't like the feeling of pulling the like absorbent square out of me. I also don't like the fragrance because it kind of just smells like a fragrance on top of menstrual blood, and I'd rather just smell menstrual blood. I feel like people can smell it, because it's a specific kind of fragrance. And it's not good for you. It's not good for you to have fragrance in there. Like, if you're putting fragrance in there, like, you gotta be asking yourself why. You're not being good to your cootie cat. Like, it's not a good idea. Any gynecologist will tell you that. Like, don't put fragrances up there. But they put it in this tampon. They also put bleach in their cotton to make it white, and also other chemicals in it. There's a lot of waste that comes from buying Tampax because the applicator is plastic, the wrapping is plastic, so that's pretty shitty too. It's not recycled plastic. It's just, and then it's not reusable. I mean, with a plastic applicator, you could reuse it, but the applicator plastic is so thin, it'd be kind of weird to reuse it. It's kind of hard to put back together, you know what I'm saying? So you could reuse it and get those tampons that don't have an applicator and shove them in and reuse it, but when you already bought a box of Tampax, there's all of these individualized applicators, so yeah. There are a couple more pros. I was going to say pawns. Cons and period products combined. Pawns. There's a few more pros. It's pretty affordable because it's kind of like the monopolizing tampon, I guess. They have multiple sizes, so they have like light, regular, and super. Yeah, super. I was going to say like H for heavy, but that they do not have an H for heavy. That would be kind of weird if they did. So no, so the pros, it's a good smooth applicator, it's pretty affordable, and they have multiple sizes. The cons, they have a little square when it's fully absorbed. It's not super protective. They have fragrance and chemicals in it that's really bad for you and bad for the environment. That is Tampax, and I don't know what else I'm going to review next. I kind of want to have a variety each time, but I do want to also review other tampons because they are pretty different. And I've had a lot of experience with all the different kinds, so yeah, we're going to move on to another segment I like to call, that was not what I was trying to hit, menstruation history. Oh my god. Menstruation history. Thank you. Oh my god. I still working out the kinks of the soundboard. Did you know every sound that I used in the soundboard is an original recorded by yours truly? Every sound and song that you hear on here is created by yours truly because I think it's really fun to make stuff. Making the soundboard was really fun. But I'm trying to go to menstruation history now. menstruation history. This is going to be a segment where I'm going to talk about all of the different products used from back in the day and culture and like the way people did periods, the way people relayed information about menstruation, how they passed it down, just general history stuff about menstruation. But today we are going to be talking about another product, and this product is called Lister's Towels. So Lister's Towels was a company that Johnson's & Johnson's bought out, but before they were bought out by Johnson's & Johnson's, they were used in maternity care because after you have a baby, you bleed for a long time. So they, it was kind of this gauze that was used in maternity care that they implemented in 1897. 1897 was the year of Lister's Towels. They put that on your cooch after you have a baby and you bleed for 60 days or something. They were released as disposable pads, but they felt like it was weird to sell disposable pads because that hadn't been done before, just to buy them in clothes. Because before that, they were using reusable period products that they would either wash or wipe and just reuse. But yeah, so before that, they were just using reusable whatever the fuck. Yeah, so this was the first time they were selling disposable pads. They needed it to be discreet, so they made it in a box that didn't have the product name on it. And that's why they called it Lister's Towels, because it just seemed like you were buying some towels or napkins. It didn't say anything about it on there. There are some ads that kind of say what the product is, and they put that in the newspaper saying oh, we put out this product. It's Lister's. It's Lister's Towels. But it was people would go to the counter and no men would know about it essentially. And I would give this product a 5 out of 10 because the positive side is I'm really glad they started giving people disposable sanitary products, because I think it wasn't really widespread about the hygiene behind reusable products. Reusable products are really good, but if you don't know what is in the products, it can be really harmful and cause infections. And at that time, from what I understand, is that the patriarchy was kicking women out of midwifery, gynecology. And so it's good that they were getting more hygienic in their with their products, but I think also it kind of created this other problem of disposable products, one-time only products that are just building up in our ecosystem. However, it was good. It gave people some more representation too. Even though it was a hush-hush product and you weren't supposed to talk about it, it was really good that these little ads started to come out and you would start seeing this product on shelves at grocery stores. So it did spark a little teeny, however small, bit of representation of, wow, it's out there. We're really menstruating out here. The cons are that Johnson's & Johnson's sucks, and I hate them really, really much for a lot of reasons. So yeah, that sucks. I don't like that they bought them. And it was probably not a great thing when they bought Lister's out. I don't know who Lister is. I don't think it's the Listerine guy, but I don't think it's a good thing either. So maybe, I don't know. It could be nice. It could be, I don't know what the situation was. It was in 1897. You know what I'm saying? 1897 was a very long time ago. I don't know where Johnson & Johnson's was back in the day, but, you know. Oh, okay. I just clicked my link. It says in the 1890s, Johnson & Johnson started making maternity kits that were used by physicians and midwives. And, I think that's why they bought them out, because they were kind of already starting to do the same thing. But yeah, anyway, so Lister's sanitary towels for, trigger warning, ladies. Yeah. So, which is kind of weird. Oh, and they also, okay, this is interesting. They also started dispensing them too, which was in 1913 and 1914. Which was a brand new hot commodity, because that's really important. I mean, like, we hardly have that now. Like, whenever I see those things, they're always empty. Like the dispensaries, I don't know, but yeah. The ads for them are really cheesy and funny. Like, they'll have like a picture of somebody like skiing. Or like, they also called it, because they called it like Modess, and which is like another name for these towels. Like, I guess it's kind of like transformed over time, and it'll be like, so infinitely finer, 1 box of Modess, please. And it's like, you don't know what the product is, or it'll just have like a red cross on it. You just have no idea what the product is for. So men won't have to think that you go to the bathroom, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Fuck them. That is my last segment. So I just kind of want to wrap it up here by saying thank you for listening. If you listened to all of my luteal rambling today. And if you enjoyed this, there's nothing I say to you, because again, I don't want anything from you. If you enjoy this, I'm really happy. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. Remember to write in about your luteal phase, and if you relate to anything that I said, because I love hearing about this. I love hearing from real people and hearing representation. Yeah. Also, that was like another thing I wanted to wrap up. But before we do that, I'm going to play the sound again. In closing, the luteal phase is fall or autumn. I free bled in a car. Tampax is shaped like SpongeBob. Johnson & Johnson's did one thing right. Go look at my resource guide for all of the ways I got this information, and just for this information in note form without me blabbing on about it and having all of these crazy side quests in my podcast. I'm really excited to start this. So, yeah. If you're listening out there, I am so freaking happy. Yeah, I'm so happy. All right. Love you all. Bye.